There is now a new case of bullying that would happen. In November, a 13-year-old child died because of bullying, and now just a week ago, almost a week ago, the mother of the child has filed a lawsuit against the Union Endicott School District. They're facing lawsuits after that student died. According to that lawsuit, which was given to 12 News from the office of the Ronald R. Benjamin, the office of Ronald R. Benjamin, sorry. The school was aware of Dominic Hayward, who was 13. He was bullied and it received reports of incidents of name calling and physical violence. Despite this, the lawsuit alleges that no action was taken by the district to stop the bullying. Amy Crawford, the mother, is filing that lawsuit against the school district. Dominic died in November. Now remember, this incident happened in November, the lawsuit, and just 2 months later, just 3 months later, the lawsuit's happening. Crawford hopes the school learns from what happened and is able to take action during similar situations in the future. She said another reason for the lawsuit is to hold both the school and students who bullied Hayward accountable. Attorney Ronald Benjamin said the school failed to protect Dominic. Now, the district cannot comment because of ongoing litigation matters. Okay, so really here's my take on this for 5.5 minutes. Schools should be held accountable. Therefore, if schools make mistakes, they can learn from these mistakes. Like what happened in a charter school. That charter school that happened, I'm going to play that videotape when we do our second look, which will happen probably later in this broadcast. But if we hold schools accountable for this, they learn from their mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes. That's how we grow. We grow, we make mistakes, we have accidents, and accidents can lead to inventions. The whole point of this is to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I mean, people may say, hey, I'm sorry, I screwed up. But I'm really glad this parent filed that lawsuit because really we've lost common sense with this. Because schools don't have the power to end bullying, and pretty soon on the show, I'm going to play you a 48-hour story all about bullying. The words can kill. Lots of examples. And Tracy Smith's going to explain those examples. That's coming soon. But I'm glad this lawsuit is being filed because the school didn't do a damn thing. They didn't even go up and say, who are these students? Take the case of what I showed you from Dangerous Hallways. I didn't actually show it to you because I wanted to react. I reacted because I'm afraid that ABC could really block the episode. You see, when you were like hearing the story, you couldn't see it because I was afraid I could be blocked for not playing the video. I mean, I could have like litigation saying, "Oh, I'm doing this for the show," blah 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 blah. You may make copyright claims, blah 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 blah. I'm not getting into that. But in that 2020 clip, Dangerous Hallways, they were being bullied. The principal made a big mistake. And the spotlight was right back on the victims. They went to the police. The families sued the school district. And the problem wasn't solved. And three of the girls that bullied those two girls, three of the bullies that bullied those two girls, spoke out and told their side of the story. And they didn't issue a damn apology saying, hey, I'm sorry I did this to you. Please forgive me. I screwed up. I'm sorry, I screwed up. Please forgive me. I won't do this again. That's the phrase that really bothers me. I won't do it again. That's really, I won't do it again. It won't happen again. I'll never do it again. These three phrases I hear a lot. When you say these three phrases, you know it's going to happen again. We've lost common sense or Portuguese ingenuity. Common sense seems to me these bullies would have been suspended. This would have been out of the public, and we're bouncing off the wall with this. And common sense with school safety is from Utah. Should Utah have a law about school safety? Here's what these state lawmakers propose to improve the safety of Utah. It's a bill called HB 304. What is it? It empowers school resource officers to refer violent or weapons offenses on school grounds directly into juvenile court judges along with other offenses. So here is the update from us. Like, really, this is all, look at all this. All these pages. It could take like 4 to 5 pounds of paper. The progress report on this from Utah legislator, ia.utah.gov. The bill sponsor of this was Representative Lindsey B. Carrian. The bill numbered, and just on the second reading, House third reading, and the hearing to debate about this. Well, that's the recording from January. So in light, we may know what happens if the bill passes. Utah schools could be much safer. We need laws like that in Texas. But apparently Texas is just one of the several states that make it legal to carry a gun without a license. I mean, it's what people pushed on for after Uvalde. Who decides what you eat? You? We'll tell you when we return. Stay with us. Yesterday, we started looking into why everything is illegal, from selling lemonade, cookies, clearing a ditch, to building a house. But there's still a lot more of this. So the question is, who decides what you eat? You? It turns out, no. Here's John Stossel.
Some towns banned Happy Meals. One banned all new fast food restaurants. My town's mayor wants to limit the salt I can eat. And if you sell certain things that the food police disapprove of, you better watch out.
There was a loud banging on the back gate.
And I said, what's going on? He goes, we have a warrant to search the premises.
Not long ago, federal and state officials raided Rawsome Foods, a food co-op in Los Angeles.
They started walking around. They drew their guns, and I'm like, why are you drawing guns?
They searched me. It seemed like they thought we had cocaine in the papayas or something.
Their crime was selling milk that hadn't been pasteurized.
They just went into our freezer and they just took gallons and cheeses and whatever they wanted.
A year later, the government raided again. They also raided Sharon Palmer's farm, which supplies Rawsome with its natural food.
These people come and invade, ripped my house apart. They took me down to the county jail, booked me, photographed me like a criminal.
Palmer and Rawsome's owners were charged with 6 felonies. They could go to jail. All because
health officials say raw milk can be downright dangerous.
It can. Unpasteurized means the milk hasn't been heated to kill the bacteria like salmonella that can give you stomach aches or kill you. But raw food buyers say things like this.
It's pure and healthy and makes me feel good.
Oh, please, that's ridiculous. But don't free people have a right to be ridiculous?
The hell, this is America. How are you going to tell me what I should and shouldn't eat?
Right. I eat lots of Dove bars. These aren't good for me.
I also eat chicken. The CDC says because people don't wash chicken properly, bacteria in it causes lots of illness and many deaths. But we don't ban chicken.
When the government gets between my lips and my throat, I call that an invasion of privacy.
Joel Salatin's one of those back-to-the-earth foodies.
Hey, Pig.
Why do you want to drink raw milk?
Because I want to. I think it's healthier and it's good for me, and I've drunk it all my life, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally.
Most states ban the sale of raw milk, just as they ban unlicensed lemonade stands.
Wait, I can't give it to you. Don't drink it. I can get in trouble.
Although my lawyer told me that if no one drinks it,
I have to get it back.
And I don't make any money, then this is probably legal.
You're silly.
That indicates this whole societal prejudice against terrible business people. You know, anyone who's in business is a cheater, a villain.
The CDC says hundreds of people have gotten sick from raw milk.
More than that have drowned in backyard swimming pools. I think we should fill in all the backyard swimming pools and outlaw them. Life is risky. You can die from it. I mean, ultimately, you and I should be able to choose our risk. I mean, I think eating Cocoa Puffs and eating Twinkies and drinking Mountain Dew is risky. But I'm not asking for a government to tell you that you can't do it.
For 30 years, Salatin's farmed 500 acres in Virginia,
Hey, turkeys.
and he's seen government pass more and more rules.
Every day I look over my shoulder. Okay, what are they going to find illegal tomorrow?
Salatin would like to slaughter his own animals to sell to his neighbors. But as with raw milk, it's only legal if he doesn't make money.
You can go into the woods and shoot a deer, put it prominently on the hood of your blazer like an ornament, and take it around town in the afternoon sun for a couple of hours, and then take it home, string it up in a tree until you skin it out, cut it up, and feed it to your children, and that's being a great American. But if I take one lamb or one pig and get all the neighbors together and we have a community killing like they used to do, and one neighbor pays me a penny, I'm a criminal.
It's logical to think we need government to protect us.
If that is what you think, that's fine. Go ask for government protection. But allow my customers and me who don't have faith in the government, let us opt out.
Hey, pig.
Basic food freedom of choice should be as important as the freedom to worship, speak, or own a gun.
What you doing, pigs?
But what about the power? What about the right to record the public officials or the police? That's coming up next, but still ahead, sex and drugs. Should we have a right to just sell drugs, do drugs, or just sell sex? There's more about illegal everything when we return. Stay with us. Okay. As you know, if you're a big fan of the show, we focused in on the New Hampshire law that says you have to have the consent of all parties in order to record or videotape audio. The case of Cooper Travers in New Hampshire, he was arrested for disorderly conduct, not for violating the wiretapping law. Authorities told Cooper they would arrest him if he didn't stop audio taping, and yet he ended up being arrested for civil disobedience. And Dave literally gave you a list of steps. That's probably one of our features where we do our second look. But is it legal or is it illegal to record the police? Will we should have the right to film? Here again, John Stossel.
Fortunately, that's easier today because even our phones have cameras. And a camera is a powerful tool for, as the Romans said, watching the watchman.
You're going away.
I did nothing.
The problem is that often the watchmen don't want to be watched. In Jones County, Mississippi, a highway patrolman told Pete Ayer, "Stop your RV." Pete's an activist who likes to videotape encounters with authorities.
Yes, sir. Open that side door for me, man. Turn that camera off, please. What's that? You filming? Yeah. Turn it off. How come? Are you filming me? Yes. Turn it off for me.
He'd broken no traffic laws, but maybe the police were suspicious of shirtless, tattooed Pete and his big trailer with New Hampshire plates. Pete's friend filmed the encounter and said,
"I would like to keep everybody accountable in this situation."
Apparently this officer didn't like that. Another arrived and said,
"I'm not shutting it off." Officer, well, you going to jail. Excuse me?
The cops grabbed his camera and arrested him and his friends.
They held us in jail, wouldn't let us make phone calls.
After about 12 hours, the police let them go.
They charged me with possession of a beer in a dry county because there was one unopened beer in the refrigerator of the RV. They had nothing else to stick on me.
They couldn't charge him with filming the police because that's legal. And that's a good thing. Just outside my office, a cop claimed a bicyclist rode into him on purpose. But then this video turned up and showed that the officer was the aggressor. That cop was eventually fired. Maybe video like this is why some don't want to be filmed.
You guys need something?
This is my front yard. I'm just recording what you're doing. It's my right.
Actually, not for the sidewalk.
This is my yard.
In Rochester, New York, when Emily Good heard police stopping a driver outside her house, she went out on her front lawn to film the encounter. One officer didn't like that.
Behind us officers when we're doing a traffic stop.
I'm allowed to stand in my yard.
We'll stand in your house.
I'm allowed to stand in my yard. I'm going to stay in. I was in cotton pajamas. You could tell I was holding nothing. I don't think that there's any reason to feel threatened. All I have is a camera. I'm clearly wearing nothing. I have no
It
weapons.
does not matter. You know what? You're gonna go to jail.
I'm observing what they're doing and they're arresting me. I don't understand what's going on.
The officer took her to jail and charged her with obstructing governmental administration.
I did nothing. I did nothing. I think that the young police officer is high on his power.
High on his power is a little harsh. He's doing his job.
No, it's not his job to take people, observers from their own property and put them in jail.
A month later, Emily put this video online. It was viewed thousands of times, and some viewers criticized the police.
So you post the video on YouTube, and they come back.
In uniform, 4 officers.
Police showed up outside a meeting of Emily and her friends and started writing tickets for parking violations, like parking farther than 12 inches from the curb.
Can I see it? Can I see the ruler?
Her friend taped that.
Okay, that's 12 inches from the curb.
After the media picked up on the story, the police chief said his officers' actions were inappropriate. Charges against Emily were dropped, but no officer was ever punished. They never are, as far as we know, even when they arrest news cameramen.
Go away now. Go away now.
Phil Datz tried to film a police pursuit.
All right, they're going away.
Okay, I'm walking away, but I'm asking you.
Because it's an active scene and you're leaving. All right, no place. Go away. No.
He went away. He moved across the street, but then the officer drove up to him there.
I told PIO they told me to go back to the.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
They charged Phil with obstructing government.
Did you obstruct the government?
Absolutely not. At the point I was arrested, I was probably 1,000 feet away from the officers.
Charges were dropped, but again, the officer was never punished. None of the officers who arrested Pete, Emily, or Phil would talk to us, but the head of one police union sent us this written comment.
He says this has become a serious safety issue. I'm afraid something terrible will happen.
Well, the opposite is true. Because if the officers are doing the right thing, the video is going to show that.
True. This hijacker rammed a cop car. The officer shot the hijacker, killed him, and then was exonerated of murder because this video showed he'd acted in self-defense.
Are you recording me right now?
Yes. Some officers now understand that it's just part of the job to be filmed.
If you're a police officer, what you want to do is make sure it's safe, right?
Correct. Well, it should look good on YouTube either way.
So let's give 3 cheers for Officer Matt Lyons of Oceanside, California.
Make sure you get a good picture of me so you know exactly what I look like.
It's refreshing to hear an officer welcome the camera.
And remember, my name is Officer Lyons with the Oceanside Police Department. My badge number is 1093. God bless America.
And God bless America indeed. Still ahead, the judge. It's going to take soon. The judge is going to decide whether to add the employees of the Oxford School District into the lawsuit that's happening. But next, sex and drugs. Should it be legal or illegal? Stay with us. Lots of people are in jail for drug use, and people admit they knew drugs. So should it be legal or illegal? One country's tried that, but should it be legal in America? Should we have the right to be high? Take a look.
Which of you are ready to admit to having used marijuana in the past? Senator Kerry, yes or no? Yeah. Yes. Edward? Yes.
The audience applauds.
And I didn't like it. And didn't inhale.
I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
Everyone laughs. Yet these same politicians oversee a system that does this. Drug raids like this one happen in America more than 100 times every day. Neil Franklin once led such raids.
You've locked up hundreds of people for drugs?
Absolutely, and have been responsible for thousands being arrested.
You felt good about it?
Yeah, we really thought these drugs made people evil.
But 10 years ago, Franklin decided that drugs, even hard drugs, do much less harm to Americans than the drug war.
Drugs can be and are in many cases problematic, but the policies that we have in place to prohibit their use are 10 times more problematic.
Conducting drug raids is one thing that changed his mind. On this raid, a SWAT team broke into this family's house, shot their dog. Once inside, they didn't find any drugs. The owner was just charged with possessing drug paraphernalia.
We just don't end up with dogs being shot. We end up with kids being shot. We end up with search warrants being served on the wrong home, and innocent people on the other side of the door thinking that they are protecting their home.
We should be kicking down more doors.
Paul Chabot was a White House drug czar advisor under President Bush and Clinton.
They're not kicking the door if somebody's smoking a doobie on their couch. They're kicking the door of somebody who's a violent person with a known history to be dangerous.
When they get it right, sometimes they make mistakes, terrorize people.
Because that accident happens should not be the reason that we do away with the program.
Do away with it, says Franklin. It didn't stop drug use, but it created violence.
Tens of thousands of people are dying.
Not because they get high on drugs, but because when something's illegal, it's sold on the black market. And that causes crime. Drug dealers can't call the cops if someone tries to steal their supply, so they arm themselves to the teeth and form gangs.
We have the violence of these gangs competing for market share, and people get hurt.
Especially kids. Drug gangs constantly look for new recruits.
Some of these gangs have better recruitment programs than Fortune 500 companies. They know what to say to kids.
He demonstrated how they recruit kids.
Check this out. Look what I got on my feet, man. Wouldn't you like a pair of these? Just run right over there to Foot Locker and get yourself a pair. When you get there, come back and show me them, man. Okay, kid comes back, man. They looking good, man. Wouldn't you like to be able to buy a pair of them every week? Man, if you hang out with me, this is what you could be. You could have this.
A few days later, the dealer sees the kid again.
What, you dissing me or what, man? You know you owe me.
Well, you offered me sneakers.
You got my $120? Oh, you don't? Okay, well, here's what you got to do. You hold this for me. That's all you got to do for me, all right?
Just stand here.
Just stand here and let me know when 50 comes, and you'll get to keep the sneakers. I got you.
And if drugs were legal, people assume there would be more of that.
No, see, you don't understand. It is the policy of prohibition that causes that environment. And we don't have these kids on the corner, you know, I got a fifth of Jack Daniels here for you. You want that?
Jack Daniels is sold by businesses in safe, well-lit places. There's no violence here because this is legal. But there used to be violence in places like this.
Gangsterism was a natural sequel. And
violent crime is why America ended its 9 years of alcohol prohibition.
Al Capone, commissar of vice and corruption.
We created organized crime. Al Capone.
Organized crime existed well before Prohibition.
But much less of it. Here's the murder rate about 80 years ago. It rose when alcohol was banned, dropped when it became legal again.
If we were to do away with our drug laws and just sort of legitimize narcotic use in this country by saying let adults do what they do, we know statistically the drug usage numbers are going to skyrocket.
But we don't know that. People think were it not for drug laws, drug abuse would be rampant. But Portugal decriminalized all drugs 10 years ago, and the number of abusers did not skyrocket.
Actually, they have. In Portugal, which people often talk about today as a success, it's actually a blatant failure.
We went to Portugal. He's just wrong.
We had a huge problem with drug use.
This man is Portugal's drug czar.
We had around 100,000 people hooked on heroin.
15 years ago, heroin users shot up in the streets and junkies set up tent cities. Then, instead of doing what we've done, they tried something different. They decriminalized every drug. Crack, heroin, you name it.
Is legalization. We have the most liberal model in the world.
Drug use is treated more like a parking ticket than a crime. People caught with drugs, like this man found with hash, get a slap on the wrist, sometimes a fine. When the law passed, it stoned people run wild in the streets, taking heroin and crack.
That's so not true.
This woman served in Portugal's parliament.
People now take a more responsible attitude towards certain drugs. There's no police after them to choose for them.
Despite that freedom, independent studies found that the number of people who say they regularly do drugs stayed about the same. And more importantly,
The numbers of addiction itself decreased a lot.
We saw this woman openly smoking a joint near some police officers. But we saw more public drinking than drug use. Drug abuse is down, say authorities, and drug crime is down.
The police forces were a little bit suspicious.
At first, this police inspector had doubts about the law, but now he says it works.
The level of conflicts on the street are reduced. Drug-related crime is reduced. In fact, now the police are not the enemies of the consumers.
And teen drug use is down.
We've brought some peace to this debate.
But in America, the drug war rages on.
And still rages on. Before we go on break, I want to let you know, I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. I drink soda. Soda is my alcohol. Coke is my whiskey. Coke is my beer. Whiskey is my Pepsi. Mountain Dew is my wine. That's my alcohol. Still to come, the judge will decide on the Ethan Crumley case, whether or not the school officials will be named in that lawsuit. And up next, should it be legal to sell? Should it be legal to sell sex? We're gonna take you to the Bunny Ranch. Stay with us. And now the conclusion to our story. We've told you about why everything's illegal, from selling lemonade, selling cookies, clearing a ditch, building a house. Why we shouldn't have government ban, let us eat whatever we want to, recording the police, and drugs. But there's one thing that we've not focused on here, and that is prostitution. In the law books, there's one law we all agree on: prostitution. Here in America, sex is okay, money's okay, but sex for money, it ain't okay. You're about to meet some people who say, I choose to do this. This is what I want to do. Here was the conclusion to our story, John Stossel.
7 women arrested and charged with soliciting prostitution.
Do you have anything to say, ma'am? The women hide their faces.
TV reporters treat prostitution like most other crime.
We got exclusive pictures as Vice cops set up a sting at a Center City hotel. Cops, posing as Johns, easily lured 5 women to the high-rise hotel, even using the Yellow Pages.
Even using the Yellow Pages. Think about that. It wasn't at all difficult for the police to discover the lawbreakers. Heck, the Yellow Pages in my town have 15 pages of so-called escort services. Sex work is common. Police ignore 90% of it. Yet when they do make busts, the implication is that the police saved the prostitutes.
Jail just may be the safest place these high-end hookers have ever been.
Really? Jail is the safest place these hookers have ever been? I doubt that.
More importantly, where sex work is legal, there's little danger. Here in Nevada, for example.
Here it's safe. We have a problem, the sheriff comes.
Brooke Taylor says sex work is like any other sales job.
I mean, we are entrepreneurs. We are independent contractors, just like any other business.
She works at the Bunny Ranch, one of 28 legal brothels in America. Dennis Hoff is her boss. You're a pimp. You're exploiting these women.
I'm not a pimp. I have a license to do this.
You're a licensed pimp. 500 women choose to rent out their bodies at his brothel.
Your claim you're having fun?
Oh, yeah.
Being bought? Sold?
Hey, you have somebody that's sex, John? If we were being bought or sold, we'd be crying and kicking and screaming when the transaction happened. Are we doing that? No.
But wait a second. Don't you feel demeaned?
Not at all.
The U.S. State Department calls the act of selling sex for money inherently demeaning.
Sex is supposed to be spontaneous.
According to whom? Who made the sex laws?
It's just for money.
Right, well, don't you model for money? It's the same thing.
Sex is different. Sex is more intimate.
You're still showing your body or exploiting yourself. I choose to do this. This is what I want to do.
I assume you have no other options, so you felt...
I have several options. Before I did this, I had a nice paying job.
So why do you do this?
Because I want to.
These girls can go out on dates and give up sex, and it's fine. But if a guy leaves a $100 bill on the dresser, there's something wrong with that?
Interesting question.
It's not that complicated to appreciate why we don't want to legalize prostitution.
I put it to former prosecutor Wendy Murphy. She's locked prostitutes up.
We don't sell access to the intimate self. It creates the idea that human beings are no better than stuff. Slavery is against the Constitution. It has been for a long time. We find it
But slavery is involuntary. That's forced.
Prostitution is very close to slavery. It's inconsistent with everything we know about what freedom means, to subject humans to market forces.
What? She lost me there. Humans are subjected to market forces all the time. Ever see a fashion show? Or a professional sports draft? Or a boxing match?
Two men could beat each other's brains in a boxing ring legally. Why shouldn't these girls be able to have sex for money?
Sex workers told us sex is just a job, one better than some others.
The girl at McDonald's doesn't love making burgers. The guy at Dwayne Reed doesn't love stocking toilet paper.
Candy Parker dropped out of a prestigious college because she wanted to do sex work.
If I don't like somebody, I don't have to be with them. Opposite of slavery, I think.
Nevada's got it right.
Not all of Nevada. In Las Vegas, it's illegal.
They got lots of disease, lots of robberies, $2 million worth of property thefts reported last year. Prohibition does not work. If you want disease, if you want money going to criminals, then keep it illegal.
By keeping this illegal, you kill people. People don't get AIDS tests. They're afraid to report crimes to the police. In Nevada, in parts where it's legal, there's no crime.
Oh, please. You can't die of AIDS from prostitution if you can't engage in prostitution. You can't.
But they do engage anyway, even when it's illegal.
So people
it's just underground.
Okay, so people rob banks too. We can't regulate.
Force, stealing money from people. This is consensual.
No, if
Big difference.
People will want to do things that are harmful to them.
I wish you could talk to the women from the Bunny Ranch about this, and
I'd be like, I can save you.
I was glad she said that because the sex workers had stayed to listen to her comments.
You guys are beautiful.
Now they came forward to join the conversation. They work in a legal place. They say it's great. Why?
We like it. We like it. It's your own choice. If you want to do it, do it. And if you don't like it, then leave.
I'm happy that you're happy. That's terrific. The fact that you are having a good time is not an excuse to ignore the harm.
Tell me why it's so bad for me.
Darling, it isn't about you.
And you say we get our souls sucked.
You.
I have been nothing but happy.
I believe that the majority of prostituted women suffer harm that is so serious, I would compromise your freedom to protect the majority of women. Absolutely.
So you want to basically tell everybody in the world what they can and can't do with their own bodies and take away everybody's freedom of choice.
I would like to live in a world where people didn't hurt each other. You should be ashamed of yourself.
The Senate Majority Leader agrees.
The time has come to outlaw prostitution.
Americans are nowhere close to accepting what you do.
Because it's sex. Relax. It's just sex, America.
Even if you support the laws against sex work or drug use, do we need all these laws? So many that no one understands them? So many that even the government admits it can't count them all? No! Let's get rid of some of these laws. That's our show for tonight. Get rid of laws. Good night.
Yeah, the point. You can't count on a lot of laws. Be glad I don't prostitute. If I prostituted, my mama would just want me to love me black and blue. But prostitution is illegal. Drugs is illegal. Therefore, don't do them. Go to Portugal if you have to. Go to Las Vegas. Go to the Bunny Ranch if you have to. It's your choice, and we'll be right back. Let's turn now to Oxford, Michigan, where the judge is deciding soon if the district employees can be sued in a civil case. If you guys don't remember, it was a year ago when Ethan Crumbley shot up a lot of people, a lot of students and teachers at Oxford High School in Michigan. He's now charged with murder. If he's convicted, he could face life in prison. His parents are charged with involuntary manslaughter. They're having their bonds reduced to $100,000, and they're trying to get their case argued before the Michigan Supreme Court, which that's never happened. But the latest is from Fox 2 Detroit. They're saying, all they're saying is that, because a lot of these defendants are named, the dean of students, even the counselors, Pam Parker Fine and Sean Hopkins, 2 school counselors who interacted with Crumley before he started shooting. Dean of students Nicholas Ejak, who was also named as well as 3 unarmed teachers. Attorney Van Johnson represents 5 families of victims of the November 2021 shooting, says the jury should be allowed to determine if Oxford teachers and counselors and others were grossly negligent despite the governmental immunity. I think those employees were negligent. Therefore, they should be named in that lawsuit because nothing is being changed. I mean, it shouldn't be up to the school district to do this. It should be up to the jury. The judge and the jury. Not just judge and jury, the two. The judge and the jury separate. It should be voted like 50-50. 50% of it should be up to the judge, while another 50% should be up to the jury. That's the whole case to this point. But if I'm on trial for murder here, I would fess up. And the school didn't do anything. I'd fess up saying, yeah, I went to the school and they told me to go back. The school called the parents, and they can't come pick them up, this and this. Send them back to class. You kidding me? That's not exactly what happened here. I mean, if it happened to me, I would never forgiven myself for this. But all that we're doing here is we're pissing off corporate, we're pissing off the school districts and poking the bear. Even a bear who is fucked up on cocaine. Cocaine bear. Coming this February to a theater near you. But I'm getting off topic here. Because of this, boy, you Cocaine Bear. I plan on seeing Cocaine Bear when it comes out. And even then, I'm thinking about either Crumley poking Cocaine Bear. We'll be right back. Where's my beef? Where's my beef? I want my beef. I want my hamburger. You ever notice the parts there's beef shortages happening? It's because of stupid government. Just ask the feds. Take a look from 6 months ago from John Stossel.
Have you noticed a shortage in the meat aisle?
Hey, where's the meat? You'd go to Wendy's to buy a hamburger, and they were out of hamburger, yet you could see cattle from the drive-thru.
Congressman Thomas Massey.
How the hell can this be?
How can it be that with so many steer in America that we sometimes can't buy meat? The reason is stupid government rules.
It boggles my mind why Washington, D.C. needs to be involved in a transaction between me and that meat processor and a customer that's my neighbor.
Massey owns a small farm in Kentucky.
I'd rather deal with cattle than congressmen. At least they exhibit learned behavior.
When you're born with the right to eat what you want. And why is the government getting in the middle and saying, no, you can't buy that?
To keep you safe.
The problem is they're not keeping you safe. They're keeping you away from good, healthy food.
American meat regulation began after Upton Sinclair, a socialist, worked undercover at a meatpacking plant and then wrote this book, The Jungle.
It was widely read, that novel. It's an outrage.
The media were quickly filled with
stories of rat infestations, widespread contaminated and diseased carcasses.
He's a socialist hero. There's always been propaganda out there in order to motivate the regulations and the laws.
The outcry over Sinclair's book led to Teddy Roosevelt initiating government meat inspection.
These inspectors are highly trained men.
What was the inspector's technique? Poke and sniff. They'd stick those little spikes into meat and then quickly smell the spikes.
In their hands lies the responsibility for maintaining the wholesomeness of the meat we eat.
But poking and sniffing meant the inspectors often made things worse because this spread disease from one carcass to the next. Sniffing these things was ridiculous, but governments often do ridiculous things. And regulators, once they start doing something stupid, tend to keep doing it. They didn't stop poke and sniff until the late 1990s. Today, at least, they do check for bacteria, but the inspection process is so slow and expensive, many small companies can't afford it.
Today, we're here to talk about strengthening competition.
President Biden recently complained that
4 big corporations control more than half the markets in beef, pork, and poultry.
his remedy, sadly, was to pass out your tax money to other meat packers. What he doesn't understand is that subsidies and regulation cause market concentration.
The bigger the government, the bigger the corporations. People who don't like big corporations haven't figured that out.
The USDA has now issued a recall.
In addition, centralized inspections require commingling meat. That lets small problems become bigger ones.
Some meat processing plants around the country have become COVID-19 hotspots, forcing the temporary closure of at least 15 plants.
We made our food supply brittle. By that, I mean one small disruption throws the whole thing off.
During the COVID shutdowns, ranchers who couldn't get to a slaughterhouse killed their own animals.
There's just simply nowhere to go with them.
If only they'd been able to go to a local processor like Massey's doing here.
We are hauling this steer a whopping 3 miles to deliver this to a processor that's not USDA.
That's this slaughterhouse.
888 pounds. If you go to a local processor, you're going to be able to walk inside.
Here he can see the conditions himself and talk to the owner.
You want ribeyes team on the porterhouse or?
Yes. My other option is to get on the interstate and drive 3 hours to a USDA facility for an appointment that I made a year and a half before.
The local slaughterhouse meets state inspection standards, and the USDA also makes inspections unannounced.
Oh yeah, we let them pop in just every once in a while.
But to get USDA certification,
he's got to double his office space and another bathroom. They have to build a bathroom with a shower.
Because he doesn't have that, Massey can't legally sell you a steak. We can come to your farm and you can give us steak, but you can't charge us $1 for it.
So that right there tells you it's not about the safety, it's about the money.
I can't sell my neighbor a ham.
Lots of ranchers are mad about that.
I can't sell you a package of hamburger.
Massey says he has a solution to this government-caused waste. The PRIME Act. Does everything you guys do have to have a silly acronym?
It helps.
His Processing Revival Intrastate Meat Exemption would let farmers take animals to a state-approved slaughterhouse and then sell the meat with no federal meddling. You're self-dealing. You're a cattle farmer. You're just trying to help yourself.
John, I've got 50 cattle, so this is the most inefficient self-dealing any politician has ever engaged in.
Massey says he's doing it because Americans ought to have a right to eat whatever we want to buy.
Agreed. If this act passes, I don't want to get too much detail because we're out of time here. Give me a break for this Sunday going to Monday. We'll see you again for Give Break Monday with a nasty title. Stupid in America. How we cheat our kids. Some examples. I'm finally showing to you this on YouTube. Follow us here, and speaking of YouTube, follow us here at YouTube and give me a break. I hope you had a great day. Have a good night.